I was born with a neurological disease called spinal muscular atrophy. It's considered a rare disease that affects 1 in every 10,000 people. The older I get, the weaker my muscles get. When I was younger, I was able to run and walk and ride bikes and do all, I lived a pretty normal life. And the doctor said I was supposed to be in a wheelchair by the age of 15, but that didn't happen until I was 22. And as I was younger, in the back of my mind, I always had those thoughts and feelings and emotions that one day I would be in a wheelchair. So I never wanted to think of that. So I would tuck those thoughts in the back of my mind and just keep busy and doing normal things that normal kids would do so I wouldn't have to think about that. And I actually remember one time when I was in my late teens and I was home alone. I was still able to walk and my leg gave out on me and I fell on the floor and I couldn't get up. I just couldn't get up. So I sat on that floor crying out to God, why is this happening to me? Why are you doing this to me? Take this away from me or take me home. I don't want to live my whole life like this. And I cried out to God and I told him, God, if you heal me, I'll do whatever you want me to do. The emotions that I went through while going with that, they were all over the place. And I was really angry with God for a long time. I was upset with him. I didn't even want to have nothing to do with him because in my mind, he made me like this. In my mind, he created me like this. And so because of that, I was angry that I couldn't live like my neighbors' kids were living, or my friends, or even my brothers and sisters, how they were living. I never understood why they were able to be born normal. Can you imagine being 17, 18, 19 years old and going somewhere that there are steps there and people are looking at a grown, almost man on top of another man's back? Those emotions were horrifying to me. Like, I didn't want to get caught in those situations. Sometimes I had to because I just had to, but sometimes I would just make up stories on why I didn't want to go out with them because I didn't want to be put in that position because I was scared of what the world would look at me as. I would be scared of them staring at me, gawking at me, whispering or making comments about me. And so sometimes I would just avoid being put in those situations. Eventually I said to myself, if this is the way I have to live right now, until God heals me or until God's miracle manifests itself, then I'm going to make the best of it. I'm not going to live my life hiding from the world. I'm not going to live my life caring about what others think about me. Because for many years, I had that feeling of fear, of insignificance, of really worthlessness. And a lot of times I would just, hide those feelings and emotions deep down into my heart and my mind and put on a smile. And no one knew I was going through these things because I never expressed it to anyone. Sometimes I would express it to my mom or my sister, but for the most part, I kept all those feelings inside. The thing about it is that I'm still waiting now for God's miracle to manifest itself because I know that I've already been healed. I would say to someone who's in that waiting season just like I am, and I would tell them that the perfect timing is God's timing. A lot of times I thought to myself, God, how long is this going to last? How long am I going to have to live like this? But looking hindsight, I've seen God's hand over my life several times. I know it's not easy. I know it's not the best thing to want to hear from someone else, especially when you just started going through a situation or a circumstance. But I would encourage you to just keep waiting on the Lord. The word says, be still and know that I am God. And if you can just wrap your head around that scripture, by just being still and know that he is God, you release yourself from that burden. You release yourself from that burden of waiting, because it can be burdensome waiting on God because we don't know when he's coming. It's not like a normal waiting how we think of now. We're waiting for the bus and we know it's going to come in 30 minutes. With God, it's like we're waiting on him, but we don't know, we don't have any idea of when he's coming. We just can't give up. We can't give up that hope because our breakthrough can be right around the corner and we can miss it if we give up.